Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second hour of the Broncos Virtual War Room presented by Bud Light. We are so glad that you guys are sticking with us here as we get ready for day 2 of the draft. I got to bring in my co-host, Matt Boyer, because, Matt, I actually just realized something. We just went through that entire hour of that show, and I actually never asked you what you thought about the Broncos' first-round pick.
Well, anytime you get Nick Saban's opinion about an Alabama football player, I cede the floor to the old ball coach down there with the Crimson Tide. But I do know that there are a lot of very opinionated Broncos country fans that have their own thoughts about the number 15 overall pick. And Alexis, it looks like they're eager to share it over there.
I managed to find via Twitter the rowdiest fans in Broncos country. You guys, I have to get your thoughts on what the Broncos did yesterday, day 1, taking Jerry Jeudy, and what your hopes are for day 2. Christy, let's start with you.
Well, like I told you before, I was hoping for Jeudy, so I'm really excited about that. We didn't have to trade up, even better. And now we'll see if we can get some needs on the defensive side or on the offensive line. We'll see what happens with all the trades in this round.
Jeff, looking good in your man cave. What are your thoughts?
Hey, I thought Jeudy was a great pick. Mr. Elway, I think he has a 2-year plan. He picked up Jeudy to go with Sutton. He's got this Drew Lock from last year, Dalton Risner from last year. Now for round 2, I think what he needs to do is take care of that left tackle position. Go grab Ezra Cleveland out of Boise State. He might have to give up a couple of his third-round picks to move up in that second round to get him, but I say go for it.
Ron, great glasses. What are you hoping for tonight?
More of the same. Keep the same paradigm that John Elway's done for the last couple of years of getting the best players who are at an elite level for multiple years at top programs rather than just drafting for potential. I think Jerry Jeudy was like a home run out of the park, a top 5 pick in this year's draft, and it's looking good for us Bronco fans.
Darby, 73 years old, a season ticket member since 77. What do you think about Jerry Jeudy, sir?
I think Jeudy was a great pick. Tonight, I'd like to see him go with an offensive lineman if one of the best ones is available, like Cushenberry or Cleveland. And if not, there's 2 defensive backs that we could use, both from Alabama. So for the first time ever, we could pick 2 guys from Alabama. We've never picked one before.
I love that you just checked your newspaper. That was the best thing I've ever seen. Let's go ahead and check in with Glenn and his 2 lovely ladies. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. You got Zoe and Emma.
Broncos!
We're real excited about tonight. So excited about the Jeudy pick. I say more offense. We got to put up 30-plus points a game. Just keep those weapons coming.
Go, Jerry!
Okay, Ricardo calling in from Mexico City. Ricardo.
Because Mexico is Broncos country too, Alexis. Hello, guys. I was real. I think Jeudy is the best receiver in the draft. It was our biggest position, the position that we needed. It's amazing. Now we have to go get Mims is still available, so that will be awesome. And some DBs. I think we have to get some DBs to stop that guy in red playing in Missouri.
All right. Thank you guys so much for calling in. We really, really appreciate it. Let's let the rest of Broncos country hear how loud you guys are going to get when the Broncos are on the clock.
There you go, Broncos! You can do it.
Let's send it back to Matt.
Alexis, I did enjoy hearing the crinkle of the newspaper. I thought that was fantastic.
Was that not the best thing you've ever heard? Darby, he is 73 years old, and it was really cool when I actually put the message out to people on Twitter that I wanted the biggest diehard Broncos fans to join me on this show here tonight. His son actually reached out to me and was like, okay, you are not going to believe this. My dad, Darby, is the biggest fan. He's been a season ticket member since 77, and he has a lot of Broncos stories to share. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get into all of those stories, but I mean, Darby, I know you're watching, so you and we should get coffee soon. I definitely want to hear all your Broncos stories. But speaking of stories, man, there is one guy who's really good at telling the stories of the Denver Broncos. That is Eric Dalala of DenverBroncos.com, and he is standing by now with Matt Boyer. Matt?
Thanks so much, Alexis. Yeah, Eric, we heard from the fans. We've heard from Nick Saban. We've heard from everybody. Now let's get your take. When you saw John and Vic kind of sitting back in their chairs when number 15 was coming to the podium and it was Jerry Jeudy's name, they looked pretty pleased.
Yeah, Matt, sometimes I think it's better to be lucky than good. John talked last night about, they did all these mock drafts, and less than 50% of the time, Jerry Jeudy was still there at 15. They kind of proceeded as if he wasn't going to be there and tried to figure out what the plan might be. But man, the number one guy on their board was there. So was CD Lamb. They said they were a little surprised by that, but they got their guy, Matt. That's the most important thing.
We've heard a lot about Jeudy being an H receiver, a guy who can play inside and out. In your mind, though, where does he fit in a wide receiver room that already has a Pro Bowler in Courtland Sutton?
Yeah, well, the first thing, Matt, is this makes things easier for Courtland Sutton. This isn't about just giving Drew Lock another weapon. It's about making the existing player who's really good even better. Now if a defense wants to bracket a safety over top Courtland Sutton, they can do that. But now Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, they're going to get open. And if they have to keep that safety in the middle of the field, now Courtland Sutton can add to those totals. And we already saw him have a 1,000-yard receiving season last year. But yeah, we heard Nick Saban tell you, Matt, that he thinks Jeudy will do his best work in the slot. And I can picture a situation where maybe you're in a lineup where you've got Courtland on the outside, Jerry Jeudy in the slot there. Maybe you even got Noah Fant as an inline tight end on the same side. What do you do then if you're a defense?
It's a great question. I wouldn't want to have to be the defensive coordinator having the game plan against that. Speaking of game plans for tonight, I saw you had a great article up on DenverBroncos.com. Lloyd Cushenberry was the centerpiece of that article. Is he a guy that we could possibly see the Broncos target? And who else are you looking at tonight?
Yeah, Matt, several needs that still need to be filled, but I think that center position could be one to look at. And then the cornerback position, some good options there, with you've got Jalen Johnson from Utah. You've got Christian Fulton from LSU, Trayvon Diggs from Alabama. Just a few guys there that maybe make sense. And that's probably the direction I would go in the second round, just because I think there's better value for one of those good corners there. And then maybe pick up an offensive lineman in the third round because, Temple's Matt Hennessy could still be on the board. So he's an option. And then even tomorrow, in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, maybe there's a chance that you could get Oregon guard Shane Lemieux, maybe Logan Stenberg from Kentucky. There's some options there later. And keep in mind, Matt, that Matt Paradis and Connor McGovern, who've started at center for the last several years for the Broncos, they were day 3 picks. So, would it be nice to get a guy like Cushenberry? Sure. And I know someone like Steve Atwater would love that, but, you can find that value on day 3.
Well, Eric, we appreciate you taking some time. We can find all of Eric's articles and podcasts on DenverBroncos.com. Eric, we appreciate you taking some time.
Thanks, Matt.
Alexis, we'll toss it back to you.
Well, little did Eric Delawa know that he was giving me a quick plug here for the third member of our live stream broadcast team that's joining us here tonight. It is the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater. Steve, my goodness, we are so glad to see the smiling assassin. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing even better that we got Jerry Jeudy to go on the other side of Courtland Sutton over there. Drew Lock has some serious weapons on that offense. Man, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, and those 3 wide receiving weapons, including Noah Fant. Man, it's going to be fun.
What's your favorite part about his game?
Well, the thing that stood out to me was his run after the catch and his ability to make people miss. He's going to get a bunch of yards after he catches passes just because he's able to stop on the dime, get back going up to full speed really quickly, and he has great hands. This guy is a top-notch receiver that's going to work really well with Courtland Sutton. I'm really looking forward to it.
I typically, defensive guys want defensive players when it comes to the draft, but you've been big on Jeudy all along. What about his route running, impressed you? Because I know when you and I have talked, that's the biggest thing with a wide receiver, right? Coming from the college to the pros.
Yeah, well, he does a good job, not only against receivers who are playing off coverage, but also against jam. When those cornerbacks come up and try to stonewall you at the line of scrimmage and make you go either inside or outside, he's very good at, using his hands to fight through those jams and going to the spot that he wants to get in and putting defensive backs in a tough position. He's going to create some really good, favorable matchups for our offense.
Steve, Eric Delilah, he just mentioned a few names that the Broncos could be interested in here on day 2. What are you hoping the Broncos come away with today?
I'm hoping we come away with an interior offensive lineman. And I think Coach Fangio said that we have the guard position taken care of, but the center position is the position I think we need someone at. And the perfect solution at this point, Cesar Ruiz was picked up. So now I think it'd be a great pick would be Lloyd Cushenberry from LSU. Got a chance to see him at the Senior Bowl, a massive human being who is extremely stout at that center position. He's played that center position at LSU for several years, but played at a really high level. I think he can come in here and make a difference.
Steve, what do you make of this entirely digital draft? I know we've had some fun looking back on your draft class and seeing the photo of you with your wife getting the call back in 1989. What do you make of this draft experience this year?
Well, it certainly is a little bit more cozy than it's been in previous several years here, but I think it helps you to focus on the people who are really important. I saw Joe Burrow there with his mom and dad. There were only 2 in the house with him, and mostly everyone has had maybe a maximum of 5 or 6 people in the house with them, and you really get a chance to share this special moment with them. So it's been fun to watch. It's been quite emotional too to watch all of these stories about all the wonderful things that these guys have been doing in their communities, and also all the people who are out there suffering from the COVID virus, all the people out there helping. They've been doing a wonderful job, and it's really heartwarming to see how well our country can come together when we have adversity.
How have you been able to continue working with the Denver Broncos throughout this pandemic? I know you've done some kind of virtual Q&As with some partners and some fans. How are you staying busy through this time?
Yeah, well, hey, I do that. Watch some film, try to get some exercise in to make sure I don't put on any pounds here, just in case we have the enshrinement ceremony. I don't want to be popping buttons in my shirt and jacket. So just trying to stay busy and trying to keep a positive attitude.
Steve,
what's
you
one
just
thing that
mentioned
you
it.
hope that, go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
You just mentioned it, the speech. Last I talked to you when we were back at the office in March, you had kind of started the speech. Is this giving you more time to, really think about your Hall of Fame speech, being quarantined?
Well, it's funny because I had a speech coach that helped me out, and we are just about 95% done with my speech. So I just got to practice it, but I pretty much got it all down. And, these speeches aren't going to be very long this year with 10 inductees going in. So we got to cut it at about 10 minutes tops. And it's kind of brief, but I think it'll still serve the purpose.
Really? Because I was looking forward to you setting a speech record, Steve.
No.
Darn it.
I don't want everyone yelling and screaming at me. They're like, goodness, get off the stage.
I don't think anybody would yell at you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, Steve, it's gonna be a great first when we hear your voice during that Hall of Fame enshrinement weekend. And there have been many firsts this week, especially with last night's draft. And perhaps the biggest first is the whole idea of a virtual draft. We just mentioned it. With the stay-at-home orders across the country, technology has had to take a front seat to this 2020 draft. And every team's IT staff has essentially become the team's MVPs here within the last 5 days. Here's a look at what went into getting John Elway and Vic Fangio ready for draft night.
We're going to give you a quick tour. We're at Coach's house. So we've been working on this for a couple days. We got a lot of these setups going on. It's basically giving them the draft room in their home. Up here we'll have telecast going. And then here I'm still putting it together, but we're putting together his screens basically. So he has all his different boards up there, all the different information, whatever he wants up on there. And then we'll have a virtual meeting here. So it'll be more of a virtual war room.
On these sides, these are going to be our virtual draft boards. So we'll have boards for the offense, the defense, and all the players and kind of profiles. We'll have the live clock connected to it. So as the picks are coming in, we'll be connected to the clock in NFL. See picks coming on and off the board. This will be John's main station over here, where he'll have access to actually make the picks and enter everything in. And that's the setup.
We're happy with the setups at all the homes right now. Thanks to Comcast, Verizon. Thanks to CenturyLink. We have a couple people on CenturyLink, and they've been fantastic doing some upgrades. So overall, the partnerships across the board have been fantastic.
Our thanks to Russ Trainer and Tony Lazzaro for taking some time. Yeah, we've seen it the past couple of nights. Everybody's remarked at how cool John Elway's setup looks and how cool Vic Fangio's setup looks, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes with the Broncos IT staff and the football systems analytics people kind of getting all of that set as we await the arrival of Dalton Risner here in a couple of minutes. I think that it's one of these things where, you know, nobody really expects to see a pandemic and, you know, a kind of a disaster situation that we're seeing right now here with the football administration and the IT folks within the Denver Broncos organization. But, you know, Russ Trainer and Tony have both taken things in stride. So, you know, I think, you know, hats off to them. We really applaud their efforts and hope to really see the fruits of their labors here within the next 2 days. All right, it sounds like we've got Alexis Perry on the line with Dalton Risner right now. Let's go over there, Alexis.
Thanks so much, Matt. I am here with, like you mentioned, Dalton Risner. Dalton, man, it's day 2 of the draft. I'm sure this day feels pretty familiar to somebody like you who's drafted in the second round last year. What are these guys going through here tonight, specifically given the virtual format of this draft?
You know, watching the draft last night, you know, it brought back a lot of crazy feelings for me, you know, a lot of emotional feelings. You know, this day last year was one of the best memories I can think of. You know, it was an awesome day for me. I'd worked my whole life for that moment. And not only did I get drafted, but I got drafted to the Denver Broncos. So watching the virtual part, that definitely was much different. So I know that it's been very different for everyone involved, but it's still, dreams are still coming true.
Because you were such a big Broncos fan growing up, did you have to try to avoid getting too excited that, you know, that the Broncos would take you?
I ran into a lot of issues with my agents. I mean, let's be honest, draft night, I was at Elway's restaurant in downtown Denver, like 30 minutes from the facility. And you know, leading up to the draft, when I interviewed with, you know, Broncos radio and everything like that, I told them straight up I wanted to be a Denver Bronco. I even think at one point I said, if Elway doesn't draft me, I'm going to make him regret it, which was a little bit, you know, that was a little bit out there for just being a guy trying to get a job. But, you know, I was just kind of ruthless. My agent said, hey, man, other teams see this stuff that you're putting out. And I said, you know what? Like, I want the Broncos to know that that's where I want to go play. And it ended up working for me. So, yes, it was hard to control the emotions, and I didn't do a very good job of doing that.
Good. Nobody wants you to control your emotions in that situation. But last night, Denver, they chose an incredibly talented wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy. As a member of the offense, how excited were you when the Broncos made that pick?
I think it's a great addition to the team. You know, Elway's had a great past few drafts. He's done a great job. You know, Vic Fangio's doing a heck of a job. And if they picked him, you know, I don't know anything about him. I watched his routes on TV last night, and he looked like a stud. And from Courtland Sutton and Drew being excited and everyone talking about him, it sounds like he can be a really good addition for our team this year. And he can help Courtland. He can be a threat right next to Courtland like Courtland was this last year. So I think Jerry was a great pickup. And I'm still waiting to see when we're going to get an O-line. I don't know if we're going to, but you know I like the big guys. So I'm waiting to see if we'll get a big guy.
Yeah, I think the Broncos just took T. Higgins, if I hear correctly. Thoughts on Higgins?
We just took T. Higgins?
I think that's the word. That's the word on the street. That's what
What
my
position?
No? Is Matt Boyer shaking his head? Oh, the Bengals did. Oh, sorry. False alarm, everyone. I was like, that's early. How did we get that far into the draft?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I'm like, what is happening right now? That's the beauty of live television. Sometimes I inform you of the wrong things. But anyways, going back to Jerry Jeudy and the weapons that this offense has now, I mean, it really seems like weapons galore, young weapons everywhere, including you. So do you think that this is the core that's going to take the Broncos back to the Super Bowl?
Most definitely. I think that that's the mindset we have as the Denver Broncos team, and that's how it should be. If we had a mindset that was any different, I think that would be a problem. So our mindset is, hey, we have the weapons. I believe that we had the weapons last year. We just didn't put it all together. We finally came together at the end of the year. So, you know, we all got a year underneath our belt. I know we're a young team, but we're hungry. You know, we got a ton of guys. We made some great additions in Melvin Gordon and Glasgow, all sorts of guys that I think are going to help us out. Jurrell Casey. So we're so excited, and our goal is the Super Bowl, and there's no other goal other than that. So we're excited.
Have you had the chance to talk to Graham Glasgow yet?
Yes, I've actually been texting back and forth with him today, and he seems like a great dude. Sounds like he just got married. Sounds like he loves his dog. He's going to be moving to Colorado as soon as all this is over. A Michigan guy, blue-collar dude. I think he's a great addition. I think that he fits in with the room, and he's just a guy that likes to get down and dirty and work hard, and that's exactly what we needed.
Well, he just got married. You just moved into a new home. We're so happy for you. Tell everyone we said hi. We're big fans of your family as well. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, Dalton.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Go Broncos. Hope we get someone good tonight.
We will, for sure. We have 4 picks. We have plenty of options, right? Now
Yep,
let's
heck
send it
yeah.
back to Matt Boyer.
All righty. Thank you, Alexis. Steve, I believe you were on that radio interview that he was referring to when he was talking about coming to the Denver Broncos. How impressed were you from the time that you met Dalton Risner to now and the progression that he's made?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, Dalton Risner is one heck of a guy. When I first saw him, man, he was dominating on the field at the Senior Bowl. And then we got a chance to interview him. He was such a nice and personable guy, such a hard worker. He's just the type of person that the Broncos needed at the moment. A guy who's a great leader, a guy who wants to be here, and a guy who can dominate at his position. We were extremely fortunate to have him. Just a wonderful guy right from the start.
Alexis, we bring you back in. I know you've been impressed with Dalton this entire season, but the fact that he's wearing his combine hoodie cutoff, it just makes you know that he realizes what the opportunity he's been given.
I'm not kidding. If you're not a fan of anyone on this entire planet, you should be the biggest fan of Dalton Risner. He is just the best guy, not only on the field, but off the field as well. I know I loved his combine hoodie. He's just a class act. I'm a big fan of his. I'm also a big fan of Jurrell Casey, who I know is standing by waiting for you, Matt Boyer. So you might want to head over so you can get a chit chat in with him. Speaking of Jurrell Casey, Steve Atwater, I just wanted to talk to you really quick about him and what you think he brings to this Denver defense.
He signed with the Broncos. He does a really good job of getting the guys fired up. He's been to the Pro Bowl several times. He and Von Miller are good friends. And I think that our young guys in our defensive line will certainly look up to him and be able to learn a lot from him, and they'll be able to work well together.
I mean, as a whole, I feel like the Broncos really had quite the haul in free agency. I haven't had the chance to really talk to you about what they did in free agency. What were your overall impressions?
Oh, man, I was so impressed, getting A.J. Bouye to come over as a cornerback. And certainly we're going to miss Chris Harris Jr. We wish him well. But, man, to replace him with a guy like A.J. Bouye, I think is going to be great. And I felt like looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars from afar that they had a little bit of turmoil going on in there. And I think that some of those players just need to get into a different environment. And I think A.J. Bouye is one of those players that's going to thrive in this Broncos locker room with the young, really hungry players that we have on this team.
Yes, he is. But now let's hear from another hungry new guy to the roster. Matt Boyer is standing by with Jurrell Casey. Matt, take it away.
Thank you, Alexis. Jurrell, I see you've got the Broncos swag on. I can see the hat. Looks good on you. How have you been following the draft? I know you're not a huge football guy outside of the film room, but have you been able to keep up with things here over the last 24 hours?
I'm more of a highlight guy, so I caught the highlights. I see we got the young cat, Jordy, the receiver. Man, I think he's gonna be great. He got speed, got good hands, and when I see him do up there in Alabama, man, it's gonna be amazing. Happy to be here, happy to contribute, and I'm trying to do what he do, man. Try to come into this organization, prove myself, and show that we're worthy to make sure we can help this team win and make it to the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl.
When you see a wideout like that, the skill set he has, in your opinion, what can that do to an offense?
Man, it can open the offense up, open up your run game for sure. It can make, your young quarterbacks more confident. It can give your guys, around you more confidence that they don't have to carry the weight on their shoulder. It can loosen things up. So to have that many weapons around your young quarterback like that, it just brings more confidence around that whole offense as a unit and give those guys the confidence to get going. And for a defense, it just shows that, we're going to be off the field a lot. Let them go and put up points and, we sit back and be comfortable and ride this thing off to the sunset.
We heard from Vaughn and Bradley Chubb last night on Instagram, and both of them said they always root to draft defensive guys. Are you the same way? Do you want to add, more weapons to that defensive side of the football?
Always, man. You always want to see who you're going to be able to work with, who's going to come in and contribute, and who you can learn from. You love to see offensive guy, but as a defensive guy, you can't pick their brains as much. You can't learn from them as much. And these defensive guys they bring in younger, they get a little bit better, and they learn new tricks. And being an old dog in the game, you always want to learn new tricks. So definitely love to get those guys on the defensive ball come in and try to steal some moves from them.
We'll get you out of here on this one. What do you remember about your draft night? What do you remember about the process? Because this is a unique process because these guys have to go through. But what was it like for you?
The biggest thing was just being there with family and everybody. Just trying to see what's going to happen. Are you going to get drafted? Are you not going to get drafted? What round are you going to get drafted? Crazy thing is, I thought I was going to go probably first, second round, and that didn't pan out. So I kind of had the little ordeal where they come over twice. They came over the first night, and then they came over the second night. So it was more of a stressful thing for me because I thought I was going to go the first night and not doing so, having everybody there, kind of was embarrassing. But at the end of the day, when you get to this game, when you get to the league, when you get to this level, it don't matter. You always can prove yourself. You always know you can play at this level. You just got to go out there and do it. And, no matter what round you get drafted, no matter what, just keep your head up and keep on going forward, and you can do great things in this league.
Exactly. You've done great things in this league. You've kept your head down, and it's gotten you here. We see you got the hat on. We can't wait till we see you have the jersey on. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Y'all. Thank you.
All right, Alexis, we'll toss it back to you.
Man, oh man, I think I would run through a wall for that guy, Steve. His energy is
I love it.
unbelievable.
He's got energy is off the charts. I can't wait to see this guy come into the locker room, bring that positive energy. And like I say, he's going to make our team better, no question.
Well, Steve, you made the Denver Broncos better. So did a guy named Rod Smith. He is standing by in the Zoom room waiting for you to join him. So we hope that you can pop on over there and interview your former teammate. And speaking of Rod Smith and some of your former teammates, I hope that you guys will tune in next week to OTT. That's the Broncos television app. If you go to the NFL app, you guys have to click on the Broncos app. Steve Atwater sat down with teammates from his championship seasons to kind of relive those moments. It is must-watch TV. So please tune in next weekend on the OTT app. Okay, I think it sounds like Steve Atwater is ready with Rod Smith.
What's up, man? How you doing? You guys good?
Yes, we're doing awesome. First off, Rod, I want to go back to your college days before you got drafted. You finished your college career at Missouri Southern State. Did you know that you would get the opportunity to play in the NFL?
Well, you know what? I didn't. I was just hoping I did, man. I was praying, and no, I didn't get my name called on draft day. I watched the draft, and I remember laying on the couch, and I was kind of disappointed. But I did get a phone call from the Broncos about being a free agent, and I was excited.
Right. Now, as a free agent in 1994, you could decide which team that you signed with.
Yes.
Why did you select the Broncos?
You know what? I actually talked to my agent, which is the crazy part is my agent, Jack Mills. I had never met him ever in my life. What? And he actually lived in Boulder. And he looked up and down the roster of a few other teams in the Broncos. And I said, listen, I'm just go to Denver. I said, I want to try to get a chance to make the team. And he thought Denver was the best choice. And that's what we chose, man. And it worked out great. I'm still here, 20 plus years later.
Wow, that's amazing, man. You went from being an undrafted free agent to becoming the Broncos' all-time leading receiver receptions with 849, receiving yards 11,389, and receiving touchdowns 68. Now, what do you think of the Broncos' selection of Alabama wide receiver Jerry Jeudy in the first round yesterday?
Man, I asked Alfred Williams. He called me earlier this week. He said, man, what do you think between this receiver and that receiver? I said, man, if we can get Jerry Jeudy. And he said, why? I said, I've never seen a guy run that fast, don't break stride, and cut on a dime. I said, those are great route runners. He's one of the top route runners in college. He's more polished. I can see him making an instant impact, and that's the stuff I was telling Alfred. And the cool thing is I actually talked to him today. I actually got his number. I called him. Today is his birthday. Awesome. And I told him, man, listen, man, we're looking forward to you coming to Colorado. And I know for a fact, this is a fact right here. I said, our fans are going to show you so much love, man. You're going to be amazed at how the fans in Denver, Colorado treat you. And he said he's looking forward to getting in and getting to work.
Well, you were a free agent. You had a certain mindset to, get to where you got to. What would you tell a guy like Jerry Jeudy, being a first-round draft pick, that he needs to do to come in there and have the same success that you had?
You know what? It's kind of probably like his freshman year at school. In Alabama, man, they got a roster full of guys. They put out tons of pros every year, and I'm sure he played behind somebody who's probably in the league right now, or probably 2 or 3 of them, right? 2 or 3 guys on his team, and the receiver got drafted, pretty much 2 of them already, so that's just the way it works, man. And I think that'll humble you, and you got to go back there. For him to be a 15th pick of the draft to come to the Broncos, and I know for a fact he's hungry to make an instant impact, but if you just come humble yourself and kind of just take it in, understand that everybody's got speed, everybody's got skills, and put in that work, he'll see himself rising very, very quickly. A lot of guys come in and they look at their draft status, and we've seen this. Draft status don't necessarily mean anything. Yourself, first round pick, Hall of Famer, but that's rare. A lot of those guys don't pan out, based off of their draft pick. And I think he can come in and be humble enough to put that work in.
Yeah. Now, how do you think the Broncos' current players feel about this pick? I've seen some videos of some of the guys, but can you explain the enthusiasm that these guys may feel?
You know what? Especially, I saw Vaughn. Vaughn was the first one I saw. I saw Vaughn jumping up and down like he got drafted again. I saw where, of course, Drew Lock was talking about, hey, man, let's get the playbook tonight. I got everything ready. I saw Cortland talking about stuff. One thing about being on a team is you want as many great pieces to that team as you can get. And this team in the last couple of years, we've dissembled some guys who were here when we were winning, and now we got to fill those holes again and bringing in some of these young guys, man. I'm really excited, to have your Phillip Lindsay, 3rd year, Cortland Sutton, 3rd year, Drew Lock, 2nd year. Here's Jerry Jeudy come in. You got Noah Fant. You got Melvin Gordon. Man, we got some people, some young guys that I think they'll click quickly because they all played in a pro style offense. And when you get that on your team, you get excited.
Yeah. Now, are there any other areas on the team that you're hoping will be addressed either today or tomorrow in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We always got to address up front, man. I think we did that a little bit on defensive line up front with some free agent stuff. There's going to be other free agent moves, I'm sure. But offensive line, you can never have too many great offensive linemen. We need some hungry, some guys that are aggressive. I think we did great there last year with Risner. We did a great job with him, and he panned out excellent. And that's what you want, man. You want somebody who they're not coming in as a rookie. They're coming in to make an impact. And we're going to have to do that, especially on the back end. I think we did good in the free agency on the back end with some of the DBs. And I know we're going to need, to me, what I think we always need as well is more fast linebackers. And why is that? Because nowadays you got to cover Kelsey, man. You got to cover, you got to cover these tight ends who are basically like big receivers, and these guys can ball. And you got to have fast linebackers, not only to covering backs and tight ends, but to also to cover on your special teams. Those backup linebackers are guys who can really make the team. And so some of you guys who are maybe backup or tweeners, man, this is a good time for you today, especially with the draft coming up.
Yeah. Well, Rod, thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure. You're a well of knowledge. We appreciate your friendship. See you soon.
Absolutely, man. Anytime I get on with the Hall of Famer, I'm all for it. So I'm waiting on you to go in so I can go over there and cry in front of the world. But definitely appreciate you, man.
All right. Back to you, Alexis.
Thanks so much, Steve. Man, seeing Steve Atwater and Rod Smith on the same screen. You know what, Matt? I'll tell you a quick story. It was really awesome. When Steve was inducted, well, not quite inducted yet, but selected to the Hall of Fame, we, put a call out to some of his former teammates and some friends who love him the most. And the call that we got from Rod Smith and how excited he was to join us, to come into the studio and talk about one of his best friends and the Hall of Famer. It was just, it was one of my favorite moments so far here at the Denver Broncos.
The one great thing about Rod too is the fact that he is such a mentor to these young wide receivers. I remember, him pulling aside Demaryius Thomas or him pulling aside, all of these young wide receivers. So I think that Jerry Jeudy is just going to be the next in a long line of guys that Rod has loved to mentor.
Right. And, he talks about great pieces, Steve, adding great pieces to a locker room. That's how you build championship winning teams. You guys had great pieces in your locker room back in 97 and 98 when the Broncos won their back-to-back Super Bowls. You actually chatted with Big Al, Mark Schlereth, Ray Crockett, the whole clan recently to kind of, relive those seasons. What were those conversations like?
Well, it was we were just reminiscing on those fun times. And it was such a good time because we especially with this COVID virus, we haven't gotten a chance to see each other as much. But getting a chance to get together on the video, it was really fun. And then to relive like two of the best days of our lives, those two Super Bowls was really fun, and those two Super Bowl seasons.
Yeah, you guys can check that out on the OTT Broncos channel on your smart TV. Okay, let's go ahead and send it over to Matt Boyer, who is now standing by with, come on, one of our favorites. Again, the lineup is unbelievable tonight. It's Bradley Chubb.
That's right, Alexis. Bradley Chubb. I know that you and Vaughn last night were hoping for a defensive guy. It ended up being an offensive guy.
Yeah.
How did you guys? We saw Vaughn's reaction. We also saw yours on Twitter. In the end, it looked like you guys are both pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you can add an offensive weapon like Jerry Jeudy, man, you seen what he did at Alabama for many years. So, I mean, when you can add an offensive weapon like that to such a already young core, it's going to be fun and it's going to be special to see them all grow together and build all that camaraderie.
You're close with Cortland Sutton. What do you think that Jeudy-Sutton dynamic is going to be like out there on the field?
I saw Roby actually comment on the NFL's post and was like, that's just DT and E all over again. So, if they could do half the things those guys did, man, it's going to be great. So, I mean, I expect huge things out of Cortland. He expects huge things out of himself. So, and then the addition of Jerry Jeudy is going to be fun and real special. I'm excited.
You've got your finger on the pulse of the draft. I know you keep a pretty close track on things. So coming into tonight, give me your analysis. What do you think is going to happen here tonight with regard, not necessarily with the Broncos, but just across the league? What do you think we're going to see?
You're going to see a lot of things. Hopefully there's a lot of good offensive tackles still left. Hopefully they get a chance to get going because I was rooting for those guys in those early rounds. I like seeing guys in the trenches get out of the pub and go early. So hopefully those guys could get off. And then it's still a deep receiver class. There's so many receivers that are still on the board. So you never know what's going to happen. With the Broncos, you could talk all we want, and we were in the weight room and all that talking about what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, man, we don't know. So it's going to be exciting to see what Coach Fangio and Elway, what they get done today.
We were going through the first round picks videos earlier in the show. We saw you getting off the private jet 2 years ago, arriving in Denver. Can you believe it's already been 2 years?
It's crazy. It's been 2 years, man. It flew by, but at the same time, it went slow. So, I mean, it's just like I enjoyed every moment. I don't regret anything, but like I said, it did fly by for sure.
We got a fan question in from Raymond Morado. He wants to know who will have more sacks this year, you or Vaughn?
Oh, man. Hopefully we had the same amount. Hopefully we could tie for 20 each. But, I mean, realistically, man, we never know. Because Vaughn's actually the first person to tell me in the NFL don't really worry too much about sacks. Just go out there and play. So at the end of the day, we're just gonna see how the chips fall.
We want to check in with you. I know the pandemic has kind of put a wrench into things as far as team facilities and things like that. How's your rehab going, and how are you feeling with the knee?
I'm feeling real good. I mean, luckily, my knee is considered a medical thing, so I could go into the facility and get the rehab that I need. So it's feeling good. I'm doing a lot of different things every day. I'm starting to get more confident. I'm seeing changes in my body and seeing quad growth and all that. So it's been good. And I'm just staying the course and making sure I don't rush things too fast and still push it as much as I need to be.
Well, we appreciate your time. I know you might see a defensive guy. Hopefully we get you and Vaughn some help there on the defensive side of the ball here tonight. But we really appreciate your time. Stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you back at the facility soon.
Yes, sir. No doubt. See y'all soon.
All right, Alexis, we'll toss it back to you.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Man, that looks like more than just a 5 o'clock shadow on Bradley Chubb. It looks like he's growing that beard in. It looks good. It looks good. Well, you guys, don't forget that while you guys are enjoying the Broncos Virtual War Room, please consider supporting your local Colorado Restaurant Association members and their employees by ordering takeout. Just because, like Matt said earlier, just because you're sitting at home doesn't mean that you guys can't have great food from great local restaurants, and it's all for a good cause. So just go to budlight.com/open for takeout right now to help support. Okay, let's bring our good friend Steve Atwater back in. Oh, excuse me, Matt Boyer, I think you're coming back in. Is everybody coming in?
I'm a good friend
you guys
too.
are.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm a good friend
There you
too.
guys
It's
are.
fine.
Yeah, right? You're both my best friends, actually. Have you indulged in any Bud Light recently, Steve Atwater?
Yes, absolutely. Not too much, but every now and then I'll pop a cold one.
Everything in moderation, that's what they say, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
that was a
man.
great that was a great interview, Matt, with Bradley Chubb. It's so good to see him. He's doing well. I'm excited that injury to his knee isn't going to set him back whatsoever this year. I loved the fan question, how many sacks, and he's like, "What? We're going to tie with 20." That's a perfect answer.
And that's the dream, right? That's what Broncos country wants to see. We kind of got a teaser of it in Bradley's rookie year when he had 12 sacks, broke the Broncos rookie sack record. And last year we were kind of robbed of the chance to see what they could do in year two because of Bradley's unfortunate knee injury. So it sounds like he's healthy, getting back to full strength, and hopefully we pick up right where we left off in 2018.
Yeah,
Steve,
I
what do
agree
you
with
think are
that.
some realistic expectations for them?
You know what? I think anything north of 10 for both of them would be amazing. I actually think they're going to do much better than that, though. But I'll say 10 apiece, and our defense is going to be dominant on the field, especially with that push up the middle that we're going to have. It's really going to be fun.
Who's one guy that you can think of tonight that would just be the difference maker for this Denver defense?
So it's on the team already. Talking about in the draft.
No, in the draft.
Oh man. Well, I hate to mention other teams' picks, but I really like Patrick Queen. He was a linebacker from LSU. I also like Kenneth Murray, the linebacker from Oklahoma. Both of those guys, I knew they'd probably go in the first round, and we couldn't get all of our picks in the first round. But there's still a lot of quality players there. I'm hoping we can possibly get some type of interior defensive lineman there.
Matt, do you have a specific guy that you're hoping the Broncos take here in the second round?
I don't know if I have a specific guy. I think there's a couple of guys. We talked to Eric Dalala earlier. He mentioned Lloyd Cushenberry. Jalen Johnson out of Utah, I think would be a solid second round pick. Bryce Hall, the defensive back out of Virginia. A lot of people have talked about, what he brings and, the ability that he has. I think those guys, those types of guys, the positions, center, defensive back, I think those are the types of positions that the Broncos might lean towards, just because it's a position of need.
Well, I am looking forward to getting the perspective of one Terrell Davis, who is standing by right now with Steve Atwater here on the Broncos Virtual War Room, presented by Bud Light. Steve, take it away.
Looking all suited and booted. Looking suit. I'm sorry about that. My phone is actually about to die, man. I'm trying to charge this thing up. I hope it don't die while I'm on here with you.
Oh, man. Hey, man, welcome to the show. So happy to have you on. Let's get right into it, man. I love the story that you tell about when we were in Tokyo your rookie year. You almost left the hotel. Can you tell that story for some of our listeners that may not have heard that story?
Yeah, I almost quit before the journey began. It was a lot of things. It was 1995 of my rookie season. And as you know, I was a 6th round draft pick when I came in. I was like 7th on the depth chart. So I wasn't getting a lot of attention or a lot of reps at practice. But I felt like I was in training camp putting a lot out there, but it was nothing coming back in return. I was getting criticized by my coach at the time, Bobby Turner. Like, he was on me, and I felt like I couldn't do nothing right. And then we played the 49ers in Denver for our first preseason game. We had 5 of those. And I didn't play in that game at all. I had 0 reps in that game. And so I was like, okay, I see what's happening. Like, I'm probably not going to make the club because I don't get a chance to do anything. And when I did, I wasn't playing well. So then the following week, we go to Japan and play the Niners again, which was weird. We played them twice in preseason. And if you remember, Steve, when we got there, it was hot. It was hot as the.
Yes.
It was humid. It was hot, and we were down a couple of running backs. Aaron Craver didn't come. He was back in the States. He had to deal with some stuff, and then some guys were going out because they were cramping up, and so I went from being 7th on the depth chart to being like the guy that was getting all the reps, and we were practicing against the 49ers.
Right.
So when you practice against another team, the energy level is through the roof because it's intense. It's super competitive. And Steve, I was having the worst week of practice of my life.
Come on, TD. I got to speed it up. Speed up a little bit, TD.
All right, man. So anyway, let's get to the thing. Got to the point where it was a horrible week, and I said, I'm gonna quit, man. So I go back to the hotel room and call down to the front desk, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get a flight out of here. And later, my Japanese wasn't really good and couldn't get a flight out of there. Long story short, I ended up staying, made that play in Tokyo, and I wasn't supposed to be in that game either. But somehow I went into that game and made that play, and that was kind of the thing that turned everything around.
So, man, you go from almost
I can't
leaving.
tell that story. I can't tell that story, Steve.
I know.
That story, you gotta relish all the moments in it, man. I can't do an elevator speech on that story, Steve. You can't set me up like that. Anyway, go ahead.
So you go from almost leaving the hotel, almost quitting, to becoming a Hall of Famer. When in your career did you realize that Terrell Davis was TD and that you were the real deal?
Honestly, I didn't know. I really didn't know until after I retired. And I think it was intentional. Like I didn't want to look at what was happening while I was playing. I wanted to run the race,
right,
and do everything I can do, and then look back when everything was done and say, hopefully I did a good job. And that's all I can ask for. If I allow myself to look at my career and say, oh man, you TD, and now I just feel like I allow myself to get comfortable and be content. And my goal was always to win. I wanted to win a ton of championships. And I wanted to be the best I can be, the best version of me that I can be. And that thinking allowed me to be that way.
Right. Well, how did you react when you found out that the Broncos selected Jerry Jeudy in the first round yesterday?
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, he's got I guess the saying you've been Judy. Is that the juke moves he's so vicious with? You've been Judy. So why is my TV coming on? So when I saw that, I said I liked it because hold on, let me turn this thing up. TV just cut on. What the heck is going on with this thing? Let me turn this thing off. So I thought that was really good. Put some weapons in the Broncos offense. Give them what is going on with this TV.
All right, TD.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last question for you.
Go ahead, brother.
From the start of training camp last year to today, April 24th, 2020, has your confidence in this Broncos team gone up, stayed the same, or gone down?
Oh, it's through the roof, Steve. It's through the roof.
There we go.
Yeah, the last 4 games, man. Listen, I saw, when you see Drew Lock doing what he's doing, and really that being the I don't know what's going on. Being the kind of the center of having that quarterback that the Broncos have been looking for, man, I was sold on that. And now they're putting pieces around that. The defense is going to be really good. So, hey, it's going up.
All right. Hey, thanks again, TD, man. Great talking with you. You guys stay safe. I hope to see you soon.
All right, brother. Good to see you, man. You're looking clean with that suit on, Steve. Hall of Fame,
like you, TD. All right. Thanks, TD. Alexis, back to you.
Steve, thank you very much. All right, there's a live look at the Broncos war rooms, I should say. Head coach Vic Fangio on the left, and on the right, John Elway. The Broncos only have 1 pick in the second round. That's number 46, the 14th selection in the second round. Last night, the Broncos going wide receiver. We've heard from the Hall of Famer Terrell Davis just now. He's a fan of the pick. Jurrell Casey, Bradley Chubb, his current teammates, also a friend of the pick. So, or fans of the pick, I should say. Hopefully, we get to the pick here soon. I know for the Broncos, Vic Fangio, a defensive guy, probably saying, you know what, I might like to take a defensive guy. But right now we've got Alexis Perry standing by with Allie Engelking to talk about some of the things the Broncos are doing on the community side during this pandemic.
Thanks so much, Matt. Like you mentioned, I'm here with Allie. She is our Executive Director of Community Relations with the Denver Broncos. Allie, the reason why we're able to do such a fun show like this and have you join us virtually is because of this global pandemic that we are all experiencing right now. The Broncos are about to be on the clock here in just a few picks. So tell us about the NFL Draft-a-thon and how the NFL family is kind of joining together for COVID-19 relief efforts.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Draft-a-thon is a virtual fundraiser hosted by the NFL and the NFL Foundation. And throughout all 3 days of the draft, fans are encouraged to support COVID relief efforts by making a donation. Just a few minutes ago, we topped $4.2 million so far. And that continues to tick up. At the beginning of the second round, Roger Goodell announced that the NFL will actually be matching all donations made this evening. And so it's a really unique way to support national organizations selected by the NFL, as well as each team was able to select a local charity that will benefit from Draft-a-thon.
Who's the local charity that when people text draft to 21000, who is that benefiting locally?
Locally, Mile High United Way is our selected beneficiary. They're the host organization that's actually managing the Colorado COVID Relief Fund that was started by the governor's office. And so something that we've already been involved with as a team, that was a really, important pick for us, and the opportunity to select them and direct even more funding back to Colorado organizations was so important.
Awesome, Allie. Thank you so much for joining us. We really hope that we can raise the most money of any team tonight while on the clock. Like I said, thanks again.
Thanks for having me. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
All right. Thanks, Alexis. Yeah, $4.2 million. That is quite the amount. It is very, very cool to see the Broncos doing so many different things in the community. We saw it at the beginning of the pandemic with the PPE drive at Empower Field at Mile High. We've seen outpouring from individuals as well. Peyton Manning, we saw the great PSA that he put together a couple weeks back about donating blood. So many of the blood banks and so many of the so many of the hospitals are looking for donors. So if you head to the Broncos website on the community tab, you can find more information as to how you can help, as well as what Allie just mentioned, tonight's draft-a-thon as well. And it sounds like, do we have Kareem Jackson on the line? I believe we do. Let's toss it. Well, Kareem's not ready just yet.
I
Alexis,
don't think he's
let's go
don't think he's there quite yet, but I did want to mention, I wanted to give a shout out to all of those who went on to dbron.co/auction yesterday. The bids skyrocketed after the live show. And seriously, you guys are absolutely amazing. The Broncos were able to raise so much money for COVID relief efforts. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, guess who's available now? Kareem Jackson is standing by with Steve Atwater. Steve?
For a minute, how are you and your family handling this pandemic so far?
Just trying to stay in the house. I have two little girls, so they've been running through the house nonstop. Been able to get outside, ride bikes with them. Just trying to do as many at-home activities and stuff just around outside and stuff, trampoline, stuff like that. But just trying to stay in the house, stay safe, and just trying to follow all the rules and the things that they told us to do, and just make sure that we're safe.
Now, Kareem, from what I observed, you came in last year. You put your nose to the grindstone. You created relationships with your teammates and the coaches. Your leadership was off the charts. Everything looked great to me, but can you share with us in your own words how you felt about your first season with Denver last year?
Just looking back at it, I feel really good about the way it went. For me, I was all about coming in and just being a piece to the puzzle. Obviously, me being a new guy, new addition to the team. There's guys there that was already established. Some young guys there as well. So for me, just coming in and being a piece to the puzzle, obviously, with my leadership and being a veteran guy and going into year 10 at the time. So I just want to come in and help the younger guys and bring those guys along, because I feel like you know, you're only going to be as good as your younger guys. So it's all about bringing those guys along, you know, the development, you know, just trying to help them as much as possible with everything that I learned, because I was also in that same situation as a young guy. And, you know, I had some guys along the way that, you know, kind of grabbed me, you know, by the hand and said, look, this is how you do this. This is how you watch film, you know, and for me, you know, I was definitely, I was greatly appreciative of that, you know, but for me, it was all about that and being a piece to the puzzle, like I said, and just, you know, doing whatever it, you know, I had to do to help, you know, help the team win.
Absolutely. Well, I saw your video on social media celebrating the team drafting Jerry Jeudy from your alma mater.
Right.
How do you envision Jerry Jeudy making this team better this season?
Man, just getting a chance to watch him throughout the years and his development, you know, his route running ability, you know, his big play ability, you know, being an explosive guy on the edge, you know, I think he'll instantly be a plug-in player and then be a contributor, you know, with that, those guys we have a ton of young talent on offense, you know, starting with Phil, you know, and Cortland, you know, and Drew. So, and also adding, you know, Melvin. There's a ton of young talent. You know, I think he can be a guy that they can instantly plug in and put him in different spots. You know, with him coming from Alabama and knowing the type of, you know, coach that he's played for. No, he'll be, you know, one of those guys that'll be, you know, ready, you know, from once he first stepped into the door.
Right. Well, Kareem Jackson, we appreciate you popping on with us. Wish you the best of luck, man, and stay healthy. Take care of you and your family, and hope to see you soon.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on. And like I said, I can't wait, you know, to get back once this thing blows over. So, you know, to see everybody so we can all, you know, get back to football.
Absolutely, man. Take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Same you guys.
All right, back to you, Alexis.
Thanks so much, Steve. And a big thank you to all of our guests who joined us tonight on the Broncos Virtual War Room presented by Bud Light. Speaking of Bud Light, for those of you who entered the Bud Light sweepstakes for prizes, I am lucky enough to announce the winners. So if you hear your handle, you have won an amazing prize. Victor at TigerTiger1971, you're a winner. Chris_Eagle28, or better known as at Welker, way too many numbers that I'm not going to say. You know who you are. Dennis Moreland at That's Me, Miss D. Gosh, these are some great handles, guys. Todd Cotton at Top Nation 11. Bellinari, that's not a real name. There's no way. At Sutton X Judy, I do love that handle though. That's an amazing handle. The fact that you already claimed that's amazing. And last but certainly not least, Austin Van Halen. I hope you're related to B Van Halen's at AHawkX79. Hope I did that all right. Okay, we also have our very own sweepstakes winners who are going to go home with an autographed helmet by the entire 2020 Broncos draft class. The winner is, can I get a drum roll, please? This is an amazing prize. Colt Archuleta, you are going home with that signed helmet. All right, Matt Boyer, Steve Atwater, will you guys join me once again as we get some final thoughts from you? Thoughts?
Well, I think we've heard, you know, about the first round pick. Everybody's a pretty big fan of Jerry Jeudy. Everybody's very, very excited. But when it comes tonight to the Broncos, it looks like we're only a couple of picks away. But yeah, I think, you know, the positions of need, we talked about it, to look at, you know, maybe cornerback, interior offensive line. We thought that the Broncos might trade back into the first round for a linebacker yesterday. Do they address linebacker tonight? There's a lot of different storylines people have to keep track of tonight.
Steve Atwater, very quickly.
I agree with you. And guess who the next center on the board is? Ranked right behind Cesar Ruiz. Lloyd Cushenberry is still on the board. So I'm hoping that'll be our pick. But we'll see.
We'll see here in just a few minutes. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on the Broncos Virtual War Room presented by Bud Light over the past few days. We really hope that you guys will continue to check back to denverbroncos.com throughout the rest of the draft for more amazing content. We will see you then. Have a great night.